Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalat wassalam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As Muslims, we want to live very spiritual lives. But how can we do that when we have so many distractions and so many responsibilities? The beautiful thing about Islam is that it's not separate from these things. It's not separate from our work. It's not separate from our family. In fact, Islam can permeate every aspect of our daily life. When I was a new Muslim, I found it very easy to feel that spirituality. And that was because I had a lot of free time. Fast forward a few years, I got married, mashallah, had 5 children, and the responsibilities and the mundane aspects of that kind of life began to encroach upon my spiritual life. But in Islam, it really doesn't have to be that way. Islam is such that every single scenario in any one of our lives provides an opportunity to fulfill the purpose of life. And that is worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as He mentioned in the Quran. We know that smiling can be worship. We know that kindness to others can be worship. We know that removing something harmful from the road to protect others from being harmed can be worship. It all comes down to whether or not we are conscious of those actions and we intend to do them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So instead of these tasks distracting us from our worship, they become worship itself. One of the things that helped me in my journey to Islam was that I became almost like a child in terms of my curiosity. I began looking at the world around me in amazement and really paying attention to the things that I would see. So a leaf or an insect or the sunset or just the shapes of the clouds in the sky really became astonishing to me, and I would just marvel at them and stare. And no matter what I was doing, whether I was just walking from one place to another or driving in the car or looking out the window, I just became more conscious of these little details, and I noticed the intricacy and just the sheer grandeur of the world around me. So when we start to have that awareness of the world around us, it could naturally lead to more gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to recognizing His greatness. So when you're looking at the intricacy of an insect, for example, it will naturally lead you to think about the one who created that insect. And then that recognition can in turn lead you to praise Him and to thank Him and to realize how small you are in comparison, and that is called humility. And these are all things which help foster that atmosphere and that environment of spirituality in our lives. In addition to making each part of our day an act of worship, there still are the obligatory aspects of worship, like the salah and the fasting in Ramadan. We have to be careful not to allow these things to become vacant rituals that we perform with our bodies without our hearts and minds engaged. So when we are performing our salah, in the beginning, it might be as small as getting your body under control. When I was a new Muslim, my struggle in the beginning with the prayer was just to keep my eyes focused ahead of me. I would see something out of the corner of my eye, and I had a hard time not turning my head to look at it. So in the beginning, it was all about getting my body under control and having my body in the right positions. But after you grow and you learn and you progress, the challenges are going to change, and we have to adapt, and we have to keep putting the same effort into those new challenges that we did in the beginning. So in the beginning, it's about getting your body under control in the salah. Later, it will be about constantly pulling your mind and heart back to the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and really glorifying Him in your prayers. And when we do that, just having that consciousness and realizing that your mind has strayed and pulling yourself back, that will then prompt you to start asking forgiveness of Allah. It's like a chain reaction. It leads to more acts of worship. And this is what will really foster that feeling of spirituality in our lives. And the prayers the foundational aspect of our worship, and it's something that needs to be tended to like a garden. We have to take really good care of it and make sure that our communication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is really coming out from our hearts. So take care of that prayer. And just like the prayer, our fasting is also an act of worship, and it starts with our intentions. We have to remember what we are doing, why we are doing it, who we are doing it for, and what it means. So during our fasting in Ramadan, for example, we still have our mundane lives. We still have to go to work. We still have to tend to our families or whatever it may be. But we want to keep that consciousness in mind and then remember Allah throughout everything that we do. When we do that, we will feel that our lives will be filled with spirituality. Our lives will be Islam. There's no need for Islam and spirituality to be separate from our work or our family or any other part of our lives. It is actually injected into every detail, and it permeates every part of our lives. So spirituality can permeate every aspect of our lives. And it really comes down to having the right intentions and the right awareness, opening our eyes a little bit wider and paying better attention to all of the signs that surround us, and directing our focus and our gratitude and our thoughts to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and let every little thing that you do lead you back to Him. May Allah guide us to be of those who remember Him in all of the things that we do in our daily lives. May He guide us to worship Him as He deserves to be worshipped, and to avoid allowing our lives to distract us from our purpose. Thank you very much for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.